Hi, good evening everyone. हाँ, तो मैं हैदराबाद से हूँ तो हिंदी ठीक ठाक बात कर लेता हूँ, लेकिन बहुत साल हुए मैंने हिंदी बात किए हुए, तो मोस्ट लाइकली मैं इंग्लिश में बात करूँगा. सो here and there I'll try to talk in Hindi, so please thanks for understanding. So like most of you know, my name is Richard, right? And I have another name too. It's Suman, and I know, is there anybody from South India here? Nobody? It's just me? Okay. In South India, Suman is a guy's name, but I know in North India it's a girl's name, right? Yeah, I know. मैं दिल्ली में 3 साल रह चुका हूँ एंड बचपन में, ठीक है. तो एक बार मैं डॉक्टर के पास गया था, तब थोड़े लंबे बाल थे, तो डॉक्टर ने बस पूछा कि ये लड़का है लड़की है. तो it was very embarrassing for me at that time, but the reason I'm saying is my grandfather named me Richard, and I'm so grateful he named me Richard, so I didn't have to carry that name as a kid. And the reason I brought my grandfather up is because this testimony is not about one specific event. It's been a long time since I shared a testimony. बहुत साल हो गया किसी को testimony share किए हुए. तो I just want to share about my life a little bit, very briefly, and how grateful God has been. I mean, how grateful I am for what God has done for me. My grandfather, he laid down the foundation for me as a believer. एंड उन्होंने साउथ इंडिया में अपने टाउन में अपने सैलरी से और डोनेशंस डोर नॉक करके उन्होंने एक चर्च बिल्ड किया था, एंड इट स्टिल स्टैंड्स नाउ. एंड I'm grateful to God that He laid that foundation for me in my life, and because of whatever I am, it starts with that foundation. So I'm very grateful to God that I have a grandfather like that, and that I have my parents and my sister who's always been supportive to me. So we, at least in India, we take our parents for granted, but यहाँ पे so many people they, for them family means a lot. So I never want to take it for granted. So I want to thank God for an amazing family that God has given me. So हम सब लोग we all get lost in life at some time, right? So मेरा भी ऐसा story है, सोहेल भाई ने बताया था भाई, great testimony that you shared. And मैं भी खो गया था life में at some point, and it was right after my 12th standard. I was preparing for medicine. एंड देन यार बहुत मुश्किल है यार मेडिसिन, तो मैंने कोशिश किया, आई डिडंट गो थ्रू. तो मैंने पूरा 1 साल कुछ नहीं किया मैंने, तो आई वाज जस्ट एट होम ट्राइंग टू प्रिपेयर एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. एंड देन उस टाइम पे आई वाज कम्प्लीटली लॉस्ट. माय पेरेंट्स यूज्ड टू गिव मी मनी फॉर ट्यूशन एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, 6,000 rupees back then, and back then it was a lot. So I just used to take that money and never go to tuition and just spend time here and there and all of that. And I was so lost. And then मेरा एक दोस्त था from 10th class, and he invited me to a church. I never used to go to church then. Although my grandfather, I was like, my grandfather was a pastor, so every time I went for vacation to him, only then I went to church. But other time I never used to go to church. So my friend invited me to a small church at that time, and I was like, I always gave कुछ बहाना दिया मैंने कि यार मैं बिज़ी हूँ, मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ, मैं नहीं आऊँगा एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो 3 महीने तक आई डिडंट गो, एंड एवरी वीक ही आस्क्ड मी एंड एवरी वीक आई गेव सम बहाना, एंड आई नेवर वेंट. सो आफ्टर दैट मुझे समझ में आ गया कि यार भाई ये छोड़ने वाला नहीं है मुझे, तो मुझे जाना ही पड़ेगा. तो वन फाइन डे आई डिसाइडेड कि मैं जाऊँगा चर्च को, एंड दैट वाज द टाइम. Although I had foundation growing, and then I was completely transformed, and from that time, every day, every weekend, I went back to the church like before everybody else. I would clean the place, set up chairs and everything else, and and that was the time, for the next 3 years, when I was there during my bachelor's, I was like, I decided that मैं God को serve करूँगा, in one way or the other. I was there, and God used me during those 3 years to change my 3 closest friends into believers. All of them were Hindus, and all of them are Christians now, and they're doing great in life. So I am grateful that God has used me to do that, because I don't know, it gives me great satisfaction every time I see them doing so good. एंड एक का नाम था चिट्टी था उसका नाम, ए साउथ इंडियन फ्रॉम हैदराबाद, एंड दैट गाय वाज लाइक अ वेरी ऑर्डिनरी स्टूडेंट, mediocre, and when he was saved, something happened, right? And we all know what happened. It is God's blessing, right? Something happened, and now he is in Australia. He's a scientist. He got his PhD, and he has like 4 to 5 countries trying to get him, and is doing cancer research. And it gives me great satisfaction that God has somehow used me, that I'm a part of that story. So I'm so grateful for all of that, for all those people in my church back there who mentored me. So I'm grateful for all those people. And then I came here for my master's. Life went rolling. I got my job and all of it. And then 2016 to 2019 was the most difficult phase of my life, because my work visa got rejected in 2016. And I was so confident by that time. My faith was so high कि मैं इतना confident था कि I remember my mom asked me कि बेटा H1B work visa होता है. उन्होंने पूछा कि आपको पता होगा सब लोगों को H1B. मम्मी ने पूछा था कि बेटा H1B आएगा ना. तो मेरा फेथ इतना था गॉड पे उस टाइम, मैंने कहा कि माँ वो गलत सवाल है, ये मत पूछो कि आएगा नहीं, पूछो कब आएगा. ठीक है. तो मैंने तो इतना हाई था मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस, लेकिन 6 महीने तक कुछ जवाब नहीं आया. तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि यार मैंने तो इतना कॉन्फिडेंटली बोल दिया, अभी क्या हो रहा है ये, राइट. एंड आई रिमेंबर न्यू ईयर जनवरी, आई थिंक 2016 जनवरी 3rd, आई वेंट ऑन अ वेकेशन, आई केम बैक, फर्स्ट न्यूज़ आई गेट इज माई H1B गॉट रिजेक्टेड. ठीक है, या नहीं गॉट रिजेक्टेड, राइट. सो मेरा फेथ तो हिल गया था एकदम कि मैं इतना कॉन्फिडेंट हूँ. मैंने बोला कि सवाल ही गलत है माँ, कब आएगा पूछो. तो बस नहीं आया वो. तो मैंने बोला यार ये क्या हो गया, राइट. माई फेथ गॉट कम्प्लीटली शैटर्ड. आई वाज लाइक कोई बात नहीं, कुछ होगा रीज़न. अगले साल अप्लाई करेंगे. अप्लाई किया, रिजेक्ट हुआ. 3rd साल अप्लाई किया, रिजेक्ट हुआ. And during this time, my mom's health was bad, my sister's marriage was going wrong, my finances were wrong, and because I didn't get my H1B, I had to join another college I have to continue education to be here if I want to be here. And I had my whole education loan. So I'm like, I'm not going back because India ke salary se main ye education loan pay nahi karne wala. So I was like, I have to be here. So I'm paying for another master's, and I still, everything was going wrong for me. And that's when I was like, God, मुझे नहीं पता कि क्या हो रहा है. I still have faith in you, but I don't know. I don't know. Nothing's happening, right? तो मैंने तब भगवान से I remember, I think I was in a gas station. मैं gas भर रहा था गाड़ी में. I'll wrap it up soon if I'm taking too much time. Yeah, so I was in a gas station. I was like filling gas, and I was like, God, I don't know. मुझे ना यहाँ पे रहना है. I want to stay in United States. It's okay if I have to work in gas station all my life. I remember being there. I'm like, कोई बात नहीं, मुझे I'll enjoy this place, just going around. I don't want to go back. I'm not cutthroat. I'm not competitive. That you know how India is. You have to be so competitive to survive there. I'm like, मैं है ही नहीं. मैं यहाँ पे gas station में काम कर लूँगा. बस मुझे यहाँ पे रहना है, right? And then just a few days later, I got this opportunity that I can join US Army. And I'm like, wow. So I'm like, मैंने ज़्यादा सोचा नहीं. मैंने कहा चलो, I'll join. So I already had a job then. I had a good job, but I didn't have a work visa. But I was like, I joined it without thinking. I said, I'll go active duty. मैं चलो जहाँ पे भी I'll go, right? And then, okay, I thought, okay, my life is going to change, right? And then I had to wait 3 years before Army actually called me. So that agony, that difficult time continued, and I remember breaking down so many times thinking, what's happening? Because I was to a point where I was like, I have to sell my car. And my mom was back in India, and unki health, was not great. And I was like, at some point, I was like, what am I doing all this for? I want to go back to my mom, right? I want to be there for her. I was like ready to leave United States. That was going on like that. And then 3 years later, somehow, in 2019, I got a call from Army saying that, hey, you're ready to go for training, right? And I was like, great news. But by that time, I have become so fat, I was 200 pounds. Right? And I had so many injuries in my body. I had literally extra bone growing in my foot. I was not able to run. And I was like, यार इतने साल मैंने इंतज़ार किया, and now I'm like, I'm not in a position to do it. So time आ गया था, तो मैंने मेरे दोस्तों से एक बात किया कि देखो भाई, I have the willpower, but my body is not going to support, right? So I can't make it by myself. If I make it on the other end, I'm telling you right now, it is God, because I know myself. Right? My body is not going to support. I went for training, right? And I remember it was obviously very difficult. You are completely isolated. आपको कोई फ़ोन नहीं है. आप बस लेटर लिख सकते हो. तो मैं चिट्ठियाँ लिखता था दोस्तों को, माँ को एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. एंड training, somehow I survived with all pain and everything else I did, and it was the last phase of training. 4 दिन आप बस जंगल में हो, ठीक है, आपके पास एक बड़ा बैग है, and you're just out there, and I remember मैं नींद में चला, नींद नहीं था, तो I'm sleeping and I'm walking in sleep with all that bag and everything else, and my feet were like constantly twisting, and both feet, मेरे दोनों पाँव like were swollen. Right, and I remember at some point I thought कि my leg's going to break. I thought my leg's going to break because I had a problem with my left leg, and I was but I said, God, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I know you brought me till here. I'm not giving up. And I kept pushing. And I remember back then I used to have printouts of songs, जो मैं lyrics मैं वो गाने गाता था पूरी training में, because you don't have phone, you don't have anything else. So I remember during that time I was singing "Blessed Be Your Name." Song, and I love those lyrics because it says, even though you're walking through the darkness, I'll still bless your name. So I was going through that pain, and I kept saying, I'll praise your name, God, and I don't know how, but through that pain I went through the training, and I was finally when they badged me the soldier, I decided that I'm just not going to be a soldier, but I'm going to be a soldier for God. Right, so for me, that's I think the greatest thing God has done for me, because I could have never done it myself the way I was, because they were fittest people, they were young people in 90s. I was 29 with all injuries, I was fat, and somehow I made it, and it is only through God. So I'm so grateful. And after that I went through training for I work on helicopters, and I had no mechanical background, and I go to training, it's the next training, I went to training, and वहाँ पे everybody were car mechanics or some sort of mechanics, and I'm like, यार मैं पास नहीं होऊंगा, ये इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट. बट मैंने सोच लिया कि यार गॉड हेल्प मी थ्रू दैट फेज, तो ये भी कर लेंगे. तो मैंने कहा चलो भगवान पास करा लो पास ना, हो जाएगा. तो एट द एंड 3 months के बाद आई वाज टॉपर ऑफ द बैच. राइट, एंड आई वाज लाइक, नो दैट्स so the whole theme of my life has been that, and it's the theme of all our lives, that we don't deserve what we get, right? And God has just been so amazing to me, and I don't deserve anything that I have. And in fact, in the army, I've been really good. And the last 3 years that I've been in the army, I stopped going. My faith was there, but मैं church नहीं जाता था because I got busy with army and all of that. And then in 2020, I met my wife, my beautiful wife, and I got married to her in 2021 before I went for Korea. And she's the one. I'm so grateful again, because although I had faith, although I had all of that, I didn't have a fellowship. I was just like, okay, I have faith. I believe in God. I know I can do anything. So I was like, that's enough for me. So I would always say that मैं Bible नहीं पढ़ता. It's fine. I don't need to go to church, right? I need 4 or 5 Bible verses, and I live it. That's enough for me, right? So I somehow was like, got carried away that no, God is with me. I'm fine. But my wife, again, she was very insistent. She said, no, that is not how it works. She reminded me, and God used her to let me know that no, I need a community. You need growth. You just can't be by yourself. That's not how it is. You need to be a part of the body of church, and which is why, because of her, I'm here, and I'm so grateful for all of you and all of your prayers. So thank you so much. And recently, I'll end with this. Recently, I've listened to this song. Honestly, मैं हिंदी गाने नहीं सुनता था. And after coming to the church, I go back. मैंने भाई से पूछा कि भाई मुझे गाने भेजो जो भी, because I love these songs, and I Googled them, YouTube them, and I listened to all the songs. I heard this song. I don't know if we've sung it here, but this song is Zeh Naseeb, and it goes like this. It says, Zeh Naseeb हूँ मैं, पुर उम्मीद हूँ मैं, है करीब यीशु, खुश नसीब हूँ मैं. Right? And मुझे पता भी नहीं कि ज़ह नसीब क्या होता है, मुझे पता भी नहीं पुर उम्मीद क्या है, मुझे ट्रांसलेशन में पढ़ना पड़ा. But this song is so beautiful, and मेरा the theme of my life is ज़ह नसीब is we are favored, right? And I feel I'm favored. I feel we all are favored, and we are हम खुश नसीब है कि हम उन्हें जानते हैं, और उससे बड़ी बात ये है हम खुश नसीब इसलिए हैं कि वो हमें जानते हैं. And that's I'm so grateful. Thank you bye for this opportunity. Thank you.
चलो जी, भाई रिचर्ड के लिए जोर से ताली बजाते हैं. मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि आज भाई का बर्थडे भी है, तो जोर से ताली बजाएंगे, उनके लिए दुआ भी करेंगे. सो वी विश यू अ वेरी हैप्पी बर्थडे ब्रदर. तो भाई रिचर्ड इस चर्च के लिए बहुत बड़ी बरकत है, तो इनके लिए जोर से ताली बजाएं, है ना। मैं एक बात अक्सर बोलता हूँ कि किसी ना किसी ने हमें इसके चर्च के बारे में बताया है। भाई सहेल ने बताया, भाई साइमन ने बताया, जहाँ किसी ने हमें एक दूसरे से मिलाया है कि नहीं सिस्टर प्रिया। मुझे याद है मैं एक पाकिस्तानी चर्च में प्रचार करने के लिए गया था और मैंने पहली बार सिस्टर जी को वहाँ इनवाइट किया था। तो सिस्टर जी वहाँ आए थे और उस चर्च में जब मैंने प्रचार किया उसके बाद, खैर हम जानते तो पहले ही थे क्योंकि ये भी अमृतसर से थे, मैं भी अमृतसर से था और इनके घर में मैंने पहले भी प्रचार किया था। तो फिर मैंने याद करवाया, हमारे बीच में एक और पास्टर हैं, पास्टर पॉल उनका नाम, तो याद करवाया। सो ऐसे हमारी मुलाकात हुई, फिर इन्होंने अपने हस्बैंड के साथ मिलवाया। तो फिर उसके बाद कंटिन्यू चर्च तो चलता था। फिर हमने चर्च शुरू किया मैरिसविल में, फिर हम सारे इकट्ठा होना शुरू किया। भाई डेविड मिले, उसके बाद भाई डेविड के बाद भाई बंटी का परिवार मिला, है ना, क्रिसमस पे। तो ऐसे करके खुदावंद ने हमें एक दूसरे से मिलाया। आज हमें खुशी है, आज हमें गर्व है, खुशी है कि आज यीशु मसीह का काम बढ़ रहा है। हालेलुया। और मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, भाई सहेल ने बहुत मेहनत की है। भाई सहेल ने क्या की है? बहुत मेहनत की है एक दूसरे को मिलाने के लिए। इनके लिए ताली बजा दो यार थोड़ी सी, है ना। कई लोग हैं जो मतलब खुदावंद के द्वारा ठहराए गए हैं इस चर्च के लिए। हालेलुया। क्या है जी वो इस चर्च के लिए? खुदावंद के द्वारा ठहराए गए हैं कि हम सारी दुनिया के कोने कोने तक खुदावंद का नाम पहुंचाएं। हालेलुया। तो मैं आपको बताता हूं, हो सकता है वी नेवर नो अबाउट द लाइफ। हो सकता है, जॉयस मेरे एक बात बोलते हैं हमेशा, हो सकता है कि कई काम मैं पूरे ना कर सकूं अपनी मिनिस्ट्री में, पर मैं ये विश्वास करता हूं कि जितने भी रूहानी बच्चे यहाँ बैठे हैं वो काम करेंगे जो